Did you know that the USA and Russia were reluctant allies during World War II, only to become arch-rivals immediately after? The Cold War, a confrontation that lasted from the mid-40s to the early 90s, was not so much a war of guns and bombs, but a war of ideas and ideologies. As World War II drew to a close, two superpowers emerged on the global stage: the United States, a beacon of capitalism and democracy, and the Soviet Union, a stronghold of communism. Their ideological differences were irreconcilable, setting the stage for a rivalry that would define much of the 20th century. The early years of the Cold War saw significant events that further deepened this divide. The Berlin blockade in 1948, where the Soviets attempted to cut off all land access to West Berlin, and the Korean War in 1950, a proxy war where the superpowers supported opposing sides, were clear indications of escalating tensions. And thus, the stage was set for a decades-long tussle for global dominance. As the Cold War heated up on Earth, it also sparked a competition in the heavens, the space race. This was not just a contest between two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, but a rivalry that pushed the boundaries of human achievement. The Soviets initially took the lead, launching Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite, in 1957. They further stunned the world in 1961 when Yuri Gagarin became the first human to orbit Earth. But the United States was not far behind. In a remarkable display of determination and technological prowess, the Apollo program landed a man on the moon in 1969, a feat that remains unmatched to this day. Yet, this fierce competition brought about more than just bragging rights. It spurred massive advancements in science and technology, from satellite communication to computer developments. While the space race was a competition, it also led to significant advancements in science and technology. The 1980s brought about a dramatic shift in the USA-Russia relations, leading to the end of the Cold War. This era saw transformative leadership with figures like Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev playing pivotal roles. Reagan, with his steadfast anti-communist stance, advocated for peace through strength. Meanwhile, Gorbachev, seeking to modernize Russia, introduced policies of glasnost and perestroika, which translated to openness and restructuring, respectively. These changes set the stage for landmark events that symbolized the end of the Cold War. The Berlin Wall, a stark symbol of division, fell in November 1989, uniting East and West Germany. This was followed by the dissolution of the USSR in December 1991, marking the end of the Soviet era. These events represented the thawing of the ice-cold relations between the two superpowers. The end of the Cold War marked a significant turning point in USA-Russia relations. It was a new dawn, promising a world less burdened by the threat of nuclear war. The turn of the century saw a new era in USA-Russia relations, marked by cooperation and conflict. The dawn of the 21st century brought with it a sense of optimism, as both nations embarked on a path of diplomatic engagement. Yet, this period was not without its share of turbulence. The early 2000s saw a strengthening of ties, punctuated by shared efforts in combating global terrorism. However, this era of cooperation was soon overshadowed by a series of contentious events. A notable flashpoint was Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014, which drew widespread international condemnation and led to a significant deterioration in relations with the USA. Moreover, allegations of Russian interference in the 2016 US elections further strained the bond between these global powers, casting a long shadow over their interactions. As we move further into the 21st century, the relationship between the USA and Russia continues to evolve. From reluctant allies to bitter rivals, and then to complicated frenemies, the USA and Russia have had a fascinating relationship. This journey has taken us through a whirlwind of events, starting off with the tense chess game of the Cold War, escalating into the thrilling space race, followed by the unexpected end of the Cold War, and landing us into the complex dynamics of the 21st century. Understanding this relationship is not just about appreciating history, but it's also about comprehending the present and anticipating the future of global politics. The events between these two nations have shaped and continue to shape the world in remarkable ways. Their interactions influence international relations, global economies, and even the trajectory of scientific advancements. In a world that's more interconnected than ever, the impact of this relationship is far-reaching and profound. As history has shown, the relationship between the USA and Russia is never static and always significant.